Hit the button. Yeah, making a video. Alright, so I'll get to some of this, which is funny. Especially this little part here. I just heard. It's just funny. Anyway, it's just an overview. You know, Anti-Bullshit Man left a big, giant, monstrous, one of his, whatever, his treatises, some whatever kind of crap. Where the hell is there? It is, goes on and on and on. So he's promising a blog post, I imagine. I'll do a post on this. Anti-Bullshit Man post, yay! He's just going to use up an awful lot of words, isn't he? Oh, the poor words. Anyway, so yeah, I look forward to that. Anyway, just this whole thing of arguing with people, it's gotten so preposterous that, you know, it's almost, there's a word for that when, when it's like healing. There's a word for that. It just gives you this sense of healing almost, because you're just like, oh, they're just too fucking stupid, and you almost think, I'm almost like, wow, if I write the, run book of philosophy, will they even be able to comprehend, ball and round and red? I just don't know if they can get it. It's just words, and the words have to have definitions, and they just can't do that. But I mean, that's the sort of the you're just saying, wow. I mean, you really have to go back to the ABCs. You're just like saying, well, what? They're just going to fuck up these letters too, right? I mean, if they could fuck up simple words like bad, 3-letter word, they can't even get that one right. They're not going to get it either. What's the point? The letters, they'll fuck those up too. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, the problem is not within ourselves, me. The problem is in the star. Obviously, the stars are all broken. You people are fucking broken. So anyway, I've made it really simple. I've said, okay, look, I'm doing this logic thing. And so I've explained really simple about my perspective on consciousness. I came to Earth, poof, well, whatever, slugh, out of the vagina. I land here. After a couple of years, I start getting, wait a minute, I feel shit. And I recognize that the feeling, some of them like, ooh, winky good, anus smelly, and whatever, biting bug bad, pain. So I figure out that I have these sensations, right? Good, bad sensations. And then I realize, hey, I have siblings, and there's these other creatures on Earth, these other humans walking around, and they're all doing the same thing I'm doing. They're all having these sensations that are kind of pushing them in this direction and pushing them in that direction, and they do things because it gives them a feeling. And so we're all running around chasing a good feeling. And this is before I even saw a TV commercial, right? So I didn't know anything about life yet, right? Because I never even saw a TV commercial tell me what life is. But that's what I concluded. Sensations are important. That's what I'm really doing. I'm having feelings. That's occurred to me. And they're good and bad. And that's the game. Bad feelings, bad. Doesn't matter who. I could see somebody else with only one leg, and I could say really early, just the first person I saw with only one leg, and I realized that's not good. Because I realized me only having one leg would be bad. It's really hard to walk around with only one leg. So it wasn't complicated. I just said, hey, would I want to have one leg? And I said, no. Obviously, he doesn't want to have one leg. Not good. That's it. Where have I made a logical error there? I feel, they feel. Feelings are fucking important. I know I'm having them. I can tell they're important. They're really loud and really important. They're big. They're not little. They're big. There. Absolutely no rational response. to how I've made a logical error there. And that's the foundation of the entire philosophy. So anyway, Carla Della Stella did make a response video. Alright, so she played my clip where I'm saying what I basically just said, except a different language, but same basic premise. Instead of counter-arguing, showing how I made a logical error, she's making some other statement. Like they always do. Like they never pay any attention to what you're asking for. They're claiming I'm not logical. I've done something circular. I've done something wrong in my deduction of what it is to be alive. And I'm saying, well, show me the error. They won't do that. They'll just lie about what I said. Yeah. So anyway, I arrive on Earth. I experience sensations. They are experienced as good and bad. Okay, well, that's a tricky way to say it, but let's go with that. I was glad to be born. So now we've jumped. Instead of going something about what the other people are doing, you know, we've jumped off the rail. And now we're on to, I was glad to be born. All right, so to understand glad, so you're pleased with the equation. So if, you know, by that standard, you have to understand that your existence is dependent on these other organisms, that they die for you to live. You don't live unless they suffer. The biosphere, so let's say 1 million, let's just give it a number. 1 million sentient mammals have to die horribly to feed you your sustenance, fertilize the soil even for vegetables. 1 million. You're worth it? You're glad to have that equation? You'd be glad to impose that harm on them for ever and ever, to relive your life over and over again because it's such a good thing to be alive? So you're very pleased with that mathematics? You're glad to have that mathematics? I'm glad to be lucky so there can be somebody unlucky that carries the burden. For me to have a good life, some kid gets muscular dystrophy. That's how the equation works out. There's some victim who will pay the unlucky. He'll pull the unlucky straw when I get the, oh, I'm so glad straw. Because you really only can be glad as long as you're not horribly one-legged. So, I mean, I don't know what to say about glad. I mean, is glad really a logical statement? Did you logically analyze your life and say, I've come to the conclusion my life is incredibly profitable? Because that's all I'm doing. I'm sorry, yeah, that's sorry. See, I can't really be glad about my existence unless I think my existence is incredibly profitable. And I would say, external to all the harm that exists in some, like I could have some value in petting a cat. Like say one of these homeless cats. You know, I pet it and it feels better and it relaxes and it gets to feel a little bit more comfortable. So, I mean, that's sort of a good thing. So it's not all stressed and throwing up and doing stuff because it's all upset. It's comforted and it's relaxed, and so that's a good thing. I've changed its destiny. And so I could say that's profitable, but it's only profitable because the misery was there in the first place. Would I really want the misery to always be there in the first place? Would I say I'm glad to be part of a system that first creates a horrible big giant mess for me to show up and clean up so I can feel good about myself because I was charitable or nice? Only because there was a huge mess. I picked a couple of turds out of the drinking water, did my little bit. Would I want to put the turds back in the drinking water and start all over? So the fact that you're glad to be born, I just don't know if you've done any rich analysis of whether you really think it's a good thing that somebody else will be not glad to be born for you to be glad you're born. Anyway, I realize there are other sentient beings around me who were also glad to be born. Well, do you realize that there's some who aren't? You know, do you realize that many organisms, most organisms, will die a terribly insufficient existence? They will live a terribly insufficient existence. They will be killed as children. They'll never know love and sex and any of that good stuff. They'll be taken in some brutal manner without even really tasting any of the richness of the dessert. I don't know how to best metaphor that, but I mean, it does make a difference. But even if they taste it, they're still going to end up dying. So again, this is another statement. I was glad to be born. All right, let's include the average death that you haven't experienced yet. So let's say the average death lasts 5 months. Let's just put a number on it. It might be longer, I don't know. But the average. 5 months of debilitation, of your body being attacked by degrading elements of some kind, dysfunctions, organ failures, and different things. Degrade sensations, very uncomfortable, unpleasant. You haven't done it yet, that you're glad you're going to do it. I don't know. I'm not so presumptuous to assume that it'll all be okay. Anyway, glad to be born. I conclude that being born is a good thing. Okay, so the conclusion, so you're implying that you applied logic and that you accounted for the real price of your existence. Again, the fact that, yes, you went to Las Vegas and you won, but you do understand that when you go to Las Vegas and win, the winnings are made out of the losers. Okay? The losers, their grief, their suffering is what your victory is made out of. They're the dying on the field, the battlefield. You're not going to win for free. So you do understand that when you've concluded that being born is a good thing, that it's good to create victims. And that no one should have the right to prevent anyone from coming into existence. What does that mean? That how many of your eggs did you allow to be fertilized? You know, you got what, 100 and something of them, or 400 and something, 400 eggs? What percentage of them did you allow to be a human being? I mean, obviously, you know, we can't allow all the sperm to fulfill their potential because there aren't enough eggs to fertilize. But really, is that your argument, that we should be really urgently preserving life opportunity? 7 billion people isn't enough. Let's go for 70 billion because it's only fair. I don't think you've done much thinking, actually. A good thing that should have a right to prevent anyone from coming into existence just because they don't like it. Just because they think it would degrade the quality of life. That's not enough a good enough reason. So let's have 70 billion people. We can all survive a miserable, grisly, horrid existence in a stinky, smelly cesspool. But we're alive, and we can all be glad to be alive in the cesspool. Where's the logical error? Well, I guess I've sort of pointed those out. I don't think you applied any logic. I don't think you were honest to the facts of your existence. And so I think your entire commentary has no relevance to reality. So I don't think you've accounted for any of the real consequences of being alive. To say, I've been lucky and life is good, is... I mean, I don't want to insult like baboon simple. I mean, that's just too simple. That's, you know, pretty flower. I mean, it's just not smart enough. You have to think a little deeper than that. So yeah, back to the boat, Carla. You gotta do some more thinking. Not good enough. Not even close to good enough. Like I said, this is all open for discussion. You know, whether it's worth it, whether my existence is worth somebody else's pain or something else's pain, a mouse's pain. This is a conversation that needs to be had. I mean, I've only started with the very beginning. You know, I stopped at they also feel. And the feelings all matter. Now, what do we do about it? I think what we do about it is recognize that what we're living is just an addictive delusion, that our ambition is all a bunch of ego crap, and that we ought to just get with the program and realize that we're not the center of the universe, that this universe of value has lots of centers, there's lots of bits of equal importance, of value importance. They don't have to be equal, but they have value significance, and that it all adds up, and that you have to account for all of it. You have to account for every squeak and squeal and scream. Every scream matters. Must be accounted for. Okay, enough of this shit. Moving on. Yeah, she made this video pretty sloppy in the sense that she plays my clip okay, but then she posts this and she doesn't leave it on nearly long enough to read. You can't even read it. It just disappears. It fades. So yeah, work on the production value. Type the shit in the description and just say fuck the video. Okay, just look down there. Read what I have to say. Ugh. Cripes. Anyway, alright, so back to this turd. Ah, kind of looks like Margaret Thatcher's aborted daughter. Something like that anyway, moving on.
Okay, so I thought I'd do a video response to Forever Wolf Films, who's basically flipped her shit.
Right, whatever. Yeah, she pointed out how, gee, that was a really dumb thing to do. That's flipping her shit. Oh, okay.
One comment that I left on Inmanden's channel. A very light-hearted comment by his standards. You know,
I don't know how it's light-hearted by my standards. I mean, really, you don't know the history at all. I've sued people over putting swastikas on my forehead. I mean, I take this terrorism thing a little bit seriously, okay? I really hate people who are harassing people for making opinions. I don't mind people being truly artistic, and I don't mind, it's just the motive thing again, okay? It's all about motives when it comes to, you know, this interaction online kind of thing, all right? And you can make mistakes that are good intentioned, and you just say, okay, they're mistakes, and we all learn. But I mean, if your objective is actual harassment, if your objective, like people have had, is to shut other people up, to drive them off the internet. There's been so many people driven off the internet. And Forever Films, by the way, I mean, I guess you just don't know this, but you don't pay any attention to anybody else but yourself. But I mean, she's sort of devoted to this whole idea of preserving things that are being deleted out of the historical record. And people talking about trolling people out of their voice. You might think that would be really offensive to her. I mean, it's sort of like talking about trivializing rape to somebody who's been raped. I mean, you're just being obnoxiously insensitive. But that's your style.
I've been going completely easy on the guy for months.
Oh, whatever that means.
She loses her...
Yeah, it's completely easy on the guy for months. In what way? I mean, now all you're resorted to talking about throwing eggs at my house. Well, first, a vegetarian, a vegan, wouldn't think throwing eggs is a great idea. I mean, why harass chickens to actualize your malicious intent? Why don't you try to burn my house down or something? I mean, you think eggs on my house are really going to bother me? I mean, have you seen my house? I mean, I really don't think a few eggs on my house is going to upset me at all. You really think so? It's not even my house, retard. I rent. So, you know, why don't you send a nasty letter to my landlord? Oh. You know what you could do? What you know, the trolls in my past have done? You could email the mayor of my town. How about doing that? Why not harass me that honest way? Like Quinca, and call the cops. Have them come to my door. Gee, you're so cool.
Shit, because what? Because I basically offer half the kind of cheap that he dishes out to...
Yeah, again, where's the evidence of any of this? Any of this cheat, any of this crap, any of this bullshit? I make arguments on the internet. When people insult my intelligence, when they say I've got something wrong, I take that seriously. If you're going to say I'm wrong or I don't understand, then you should back that up. And if you can't back that up, it's a fucking insulting thing to do to somebody. And if you can't understand that, you're really stupid. Yeah, you're really stupid. There, I've just called you stupid if you don't understand that.
Us? I mean, it's just such an amazing double standard.
No, the double standard, you're all over that. I mean, just hilarious. These people using the word hypocrisy when they talk out of both sides of their mouth. He says exactly the opposite things 4 weeks ago that he says today, and he talks about hypocrisy. I mean, amazing.
The way that in Mendham...
All these jump cuts for a crap video. I mean, it's ironic, too, that Anti-Bullshit Man would watch this garbage video, and it's a garbage video, and post his treatise on a shit video like this. I mean, he doesn't pick one of the videos that are actually on the subject. He just picks a troll video. So it's kind of making Anti-Bullshit Man seem like maybe that's all he is, right? Because this last blog post, I mean, if you read it, it was just this silly, superficial analysis of in-Mendham psychology, that went on for 10,000 words or whatever the fuck it was. 40,000, who the hell knows? And it was just a troll blog.
His followers, flock around and...
Well, whatever on the follower thing. Like I said, I don't really create those. I've made it clear I'm not really interested in go get 'em, Gary kind of comments. I don't reward people. I don't engage with people much. I just make my arguments. Now, if you have problems with individuals, well, those are your problems with individuals. I mean, it's, I'm not saying you can't blame me, but I really don't feed them in any way. So, I mean, I can't, I do feed the cats, so they sort of become my responsibility because, yeah, once you feed one, they're dependent, and that dependency is real, and I don't know what to do about that. That's sort of my fault. It's not really my fault, though, because the alternative is they die. Horribly.
Kiss his ass all the time, and, he just is rude.
Yeah, whatever, like, I care, blah, blah, blah. I mean, do I really, it's just... I mean, I like when they send me cigarettes, I have to admit, but otherwise, who cares?
Rude and disrespectful towards me,
Yeah, right, disrespectful, and you haven't done any of that. You haven't insulted their intelligence. You haven't insulted something fundamentally valuable to them. I mean, you don't take any of this shit seriously, but people who do, people who think pigs in slaughterhouses are being tortured, they take it sort of serious. It's like a Holocaust, okay? And you're making Jew jokes in the middle of the Holocaust, asshole. And you don't think people are going to get pissed off?
Dean Vic, and as soon as we say something about it, we get ganged up on by a bunch of little bitches who can't even make...
Well, I don't know. Is the ganged up on, what is that, in what form? Do you get this ganging up on? You're the one, I'm sitting there, I've never suggested somebody go downrate a video. I've never done any of this crap you're doing, shithead.
Videos and respond to us directly. So, yeah, whatever, just go fuck yourself, River Wolf Films. You don't understand the context in which this occurred, and you should...
The context is what? What possible context could there be? You show up on my video and you type some random crap about how this is a shitty video. I think we ought to troll the fuck out of these people in the rooms they're in. And what the fuck is that? And coincidentally, at the very moment when people are getting strikes on their account because people are trolling the rooms. She made a mistake? No, I think you made the mistake, and you ought to just man up and say, that was a really dumb thing to say on the internet. On a medium where people are being, where entire channels, I've lost entire channels. The Mendham channel was gone for an entire year. Gone. Gone. Deleted, gone, removed, for a year. This is serious, shithead. You can't take it seriously? Fuck you.
Stay out of it, because it wasn't even any of your business.
You made a public fucking comment, asshole, and you made it twice. You were so fucking passionate to say it. Somebody put it in the spam category, and because they did, you reposted it again. Explain that. This was such an important joke you had to tell. It's not a joke, asshole.
I'll just go on in Mendham's channel, right? We can look at some of the comments. Just, you know, some of his, like one of his most recent videos, which was "De-illusions exist." This nihilist terrorist guy.
Right, okay, so I'll read the comments on your videos, right? I mean, I'll find a ton of asshole, sycophant, shit nihilists, and I'll just fucking make fun of them. How's that? Is that the way? I mean, it's okay with me. I mean, I've done that. I think it's a reasonable approach. If you can make a counter-argument, make it. I don't think you're going to do that, so it's okay.
Complete fucking asshole said, "I would love to see these moral nihilists publicly display how meaningless suffering is." I didn't fucking say that.
Yes, you did. I mean, you keep... This is the hypocrisy, right? It's meaningless if you're saying it's not something... If there's not enough urgency, there's something suffering. And you're saying there's no logical imperative, there's no urgency, there's nothing important happening here. And the mere effort of having to move your finger from where it is in this position to the turn that off position is too much effort for you to have to exert to prevent that thing. So you're saying it's so meaningless, it's so not bad, that there's nothing logically that would say, I should push that button. You don't have enough logical imperative, enough meaning recognized, value recognized, to move your finger down and press a button. And you're telling me you haven't taken the word meaning and made it meaningless. If you don't have enough energy, if there isn't enough meaning to provoke you to push the button, to do this, then you said it doesn't have any meaning. That's a fact.
By subjecting themselves to the suffering they claim has no meaning. That's an ad hominem fallacy.
It's not an ad hominem fallacy. It's a correct description of what you're saying. He should have just said their definition of meaning has no meaning. Meaning has no meaning. They've taken the meaning out of meaning.
I would say that suffering was meaningless, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't want to suffer.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't want. So again, you have wants that you respect, but you don't respect the obvious same wants that exist in everything that doesn't want to be suffering.
If I thought it was meaningless. Being a nihilist does not mean...
So again, he has to do all this editing for his troll video. Oh, hilarious. So being a nihilist doesn't mean, so let's hear, this is just hilarious.
You can't have your own likes and dislikes and preferences.
Right, so yeah, who's arguing that you don't? That no one's saying that you don't have likes and dislikes and preferences. What we're arguing is that somehow when other people are in a condition similar to you, you don't acknowledge the existence of their condition. And somehow their likes don't mean really like, and their dislikes don't mean really dislike. Where you really dislike having a nail in your eye, you don't really think they dislike having a nail in their eye.
Hell, I would go so far as to even acknowledge that suffering was intrinsically just dislikable in and of...
Well, dislikable. Again, it's the opposite of like. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's a dislike. It's an absence of likeness. It's not a bad. Again, you just keep using this anti-positive notion as if somehow an anti-positive is a negative, and it's not. You just keep reverting all the negatives to a zero. They're all neutral. So nothing and negative are the same thing.
Itself, repulsive, repugnant, horrible, horrific, terrible. All these synonyms as built into the very nature of it, not just...
Yes, okay, so I'm just saying all those words don't mean anything if they can't make your finger go like this. If they're not strong enough, the horrific, terrible, torturous, if those words don't mean enough for you to hit a button, then those words don't mean anything. They're nothing words. You might as well be saying tree, dog, dirt, earthworm.
That's what the individual judges or deems suffering to be. As soon as he feels that he's consumed by its quality, we could use the word negative in that sense. Or even the word...
Yeah, so again, but the word negative doesn't mean anything if negative doesn't create a logical imperative to stop the negative. If there's no urgency or importance or significance, not enough significance in the negative condition for you to do this, even though you would do this for yourself. That's the hypocrisy here, is that you certainly would know how to hit the button for yourself. You certainly know how to take an aspirin for yourself, but somehow you can't give somebody an aspirin.
Valuable, or intrinsically valuable. I'm not even denying that people value things or place value on different things or are sentient and capable of experiencing value. But that's...
I mean, placing value on things, and again, see, you're just confusing the subjects, right? Because this isn't really about placing value on things. It's about the experiences themselves. And you just argued that, yes, I can see that the experiences themselves have an intrinsic quality that's not fuck-upable. You don't get a choice to say, I will just pretend pain is fun. You just don't get that option.
You don't have to deny that to be a moral nihilist.
You don't have to deny that to be a moral nihilist. So he doesn't really understand what the word nihilist means. Nihil. Negating. And it's basically just moral rejection. So he just says, I believe in it, but I reject it. So what's the point? If that isn't hypocrisy, or if that isn't duplicity, or if that isn't a complete breaking of language, what the fuck else is it? It's gibberish.
So, yeah, these assholes, right? These fucking little followers, these sycophants of Inmendum, they don't bother to study any of the arguments. They don't think it matters, right? They think they can just dismiss all the philosophy stuff. Like, oh, let's just forget all that philosophy stuff. It's too complicated.
Well, that's your lie, okay? Some of them are very well read. So, and I would certainly argue that none of these philosophers I gave a damn about till I had to give a damn because of YouTube. And then having read them, like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, I find them almost imbecilic. Yeah, I don't find them of any value whatsoever. It's all a bunch of overly stated, overly verbose jibber-jabber. Most of it. 90% of it. 95% of it. 98% of it. And they have a few good little phrases here and there. But then those just come down to some kind of cliche. And cliches are always subject to scrutiny. I'm glad to be alive. I mean, that kind of thing. Yeah, how really rich is the thought that went behind that? So I'm just saying, you can think these guys were gods. I don't think they were terribly godlike in their analysis of reality.
I mean, I haven't even once denied that suffering was bad.
I mean, this is just such nonsense. You don't think bad is a negative. So again, how is it possible? You've taken the word bad and somehow taken the negative out of it. Well, of course. So I'll call suffering bad all day long if bad means it's nothing. Cool. Let's make suffering nothing. No, it's something. It's negative. You just can't say. You have negated the bad because you're saying the bad creates no imperative. If it's bad and it creates no logical imperative saying it's not satisfactory, it needs to be fixed, it needs to be corrected, then it's not really bad.
If I have, what I meant was that there's no intrinsic moral property that it's wrong.
Well, again, you keep injecting moral, and how many times have people protested? I mean, this is, again, more hypocrisy. They keep protesting. Please, don't use the word moral. It just doesn't go anywhere. Moral is just some sort of dogmatic statement. The argument is it value neutral, or is it, and ethics would be a better word. And so why just keep playing with a word that has all this taint of religion all over it? And especially in the context where, I mean, I have just pleaded, I've begged people, please, let's not use the word moral.
Or that it should or ought not exist. I've conceded time and time again that it's undesirable or unpleasant, and they
are even valuable for the sake of argument. What is that? Negative value. Again, so get it right. It's a negative value condition. And logically, negative value conditions have to be corrected. That's what intelligence does. It finds errors and corrects them.
when Mendham calls it bad, he needs to explain what he means by bad. He needs
There we go. It means, yeah, it's just so political, right? It depends on your definition of what is.
He needs to define what that means bad, what it means for something to be bad.
Well, I think I've done that. I've said it's a negative number, like a negative number. It has a negative value. It has a reciprocal value to the positive values, and in a sense, it erases positive value. So if you have something that's good, the bad of the equal intensity will destroy the value of the good. It will consume its value. It will not make it not worth the price. So it's like going to the store. The bad is the money you have to pay for the item. The item has its value positive. But if the price tag is too high, you won't buy it because the good isn't worth the price of the bad.
Because to just say that suffering is defined to mean the same thing as badness completely strips the word. It means that suffering is bad is just this hollow tautology. It doesn't tell you.
Yeah, it's hollow to you. I guess, like I said, I just don't understand how you, somehow through your experience in life, I've never in my entire existence, and I have an old man, had a problem where somebody used bad when something wasn't bad, you know, in a sense. They could say something was bad, like abortion, and they're wrong because, you know, it's not bad. Because what they think is happening isn't really happening. Souls aren't being destroyed, and there's not a sentient being murdered, and all that kind of stuff. So, but we already understood what they mean by the word. They meant something bad was happening. They just misunderstood whether the bad thing was a real bad thing happening because they misunderstood the event itself. They misdescribed the event. But the label was perfectly appropriate if what they thought was true. And I've never encountered anybody having any problem understanding that bad is a negative condition that needs correction. Ever.
What the word bad means. You've simply said that it's the same thing as sufferingness.
Substituted. Well, again, I'm saying I'd never make a substitute. I say suffering is bad, okay, because I was just making it simple. You're saying it needs more clarification because you don't understand bad, so then I use the word negative. And then Hafla Days and other people pervert the word negative, and then you say I'm supposed to accept his perversion of the word negative, even though I've explicitly said this is what I mean by negative. So again, you won't allow me to use any word that has a true negative tied to it. There's no word you won't neutralize, no negative word that you won't neutralize to nothing. You just keep saying there's no such thing as a negative condition.
So, clearly, and that's clearly not the same as saying you should not or ought not harm. That's a completely different statement.
I don't know. How so? You should not or ought not harm as a universal absolute statement now? I mean, when are you talking as a subjectivist and when are you talking as an absolutist? Are you saying that it is true that absolutely you should not harm in and of itself? Causing unredeemed harm is always a bad thing. Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't carry the property of wrongness attached to it.
Well, again, says you. My definition of wrong is something that creates that bad thing, the negative number that will consume the value of any good that we've created. It's the hurricane that'll blow down your building. It's the tornado that'll tear your house down. The bad is a real force, and it will annihilate the value of anything good. That's why it must be stopped, because it will take all your profits. It will consume all your gain.
You need to define and explain what you mean by bad, because...
Again, see, so you're just saying if we really have to do that, if I really have to sit here and go through any more, I've already strangled the language as much as I can possibly strangle it to try to get, you know, it is in and of itself. It's the only thing in the universe, this sensation thing, that creates actual value, intrinsic value. And it says it as soon as you experience it. As soon as you experience a negative sensation, you know what bad is. You know you don't want to pet that motherfucker. You know you don't want that motherfucker anywhere near your house again. There's no doubt about what a bad is if you understand the origin of the word. The origin in the world is in the intrinsic difference between a pleasurable sensation and an unpleasant sensation. It's in that sensation itself. That's the core of the definition. And you either understand that as an intrinsic quality of that one unique thing in the universe that has value, a sensation. But that's the core. That's the origin of the word. The word always had that as its origin. The invention of the word bad was because some sentient being was being harmed.
It seems to add extra weight to the intrinsic property of suffering. Now, us placing judgment on suffering is not the same as, it doesn't change its intrinsic quality. That suffering, I've conceded time and time again that suffering does have an intrinsic quality.
Again, but it doesn't mean anything. These words don't mean anything to you because repulsive somehow isn't enough of a reason. Repulsiveness is taking place. Unredeemable, wasted, quote unquote, repulsiveness. I have no energy to press a button to stop it. It's not repulsiveness then. It's not a bad thing. You've taken the, again, I'm just going to keep arguing, you've taken the bad out of it. You've taken the negative out of it because obviously you're saying the negative's okay. Make more negative to destroy all the value of our good. Make a tornado. Make a hurricane. That's all you're saying. Let the hurricane run. It's going to bring nothing but bad. It's going to do nothing but waste work. It's going to annihilate work, value, history. It's a delete button. Just a malicious, horrible delete button. And you're just saying, I have no logical imperative to delete the deleter, to stop the rape.
But it doesn't mean that it carries the property of badness.
Well, again, then what's the point? It doesn't suck then. There's no point in saying, I mean, there's no point in conceding it sucks. Suffering does suck. But suck doesn't mean anything. You know, what is that? Or that it is morally. So again, he puts it in bold type. Even though, like I said, we have made extensive effort. Don't play with this word. And now he puts it in bold. Wrong for it to exist. As a description, all we can do is describe it. Okay? It's a component of value math. So morality doesn't really give you the opportunity to say something like in and of itself or absent contextual circumstances. Morality is a loaded word that has context all over it. And we're trying to get to the kernel. We're trying to describe the thing without complexifying context. We're just trying to get to what is the quanta of value, the numbers in and of themselves, not 3x plus 4yw. We're trying to get rid of the x's and the y's for now, just to get to the idea that minus 3 plus 3 equals 0.
I'd like to see that. And also this man cheese asshole, John Dow asshole, Nummy Num asshole, Dissidents asshole, John Hart asshole. Like, everyone in his comment section's a fucking cunt. Because they don't even bother checking any of my videos or any of the back and forth. They just kiss Gary's ass. They've
obviously seen my videos and my responses to your videos, so they have seen some of it. But I mean, most of your videos are fucking cartoons, idiot. Most of your videos are nonsense, and even the ones you try to, well, even the ones that appear like, oh, here, I'm going to be making an argument, you end up reading out of a book or playing some clip of some other guy talking. Lame.
They're probably, I even made the claim that a lot of them are just philosophically illiterate. And then when you say that, they call you an elitist. And they say that you don't need to do philosophy in order to know that suffering's bad. Well, actually, you do.
No, you don't. So actually, you're full of shit. Obviously, philosophers are just finding ways to negate the existence of suffering, like Nietzsche. Especially other people's suffering. Especially those among, those lessers, as he would clearly understand the world. There was great, livers, and then there was dyers, or however you want to describe it. Sleps, the working class, you know, because he didn't do any of that shit.
Asshole. You need to explain what that means. I'll just go on.
Well, I'll explain what it means. It does mean something. I mean, you are an elitist little prick. You have lived no life. You've done no real labor in the world. You've done absolutely nothing except read a bunch of pretentious, artifactal, let's say ignorant by circumstance, in the sense they didn't have half of our scientific knowledge, pontificators. And that qualifies you to do what? Oh, I understand it. To come up with hypocritical descriptions of what a bad is. A bad isn't a bad. Bads aren't negative. Oh. They're nothing. You should react to them exactly like you react to nothing. So when you see something suffering, you react to it just the way you would react to absolutely nothing happening. Because they're the same thing.
Some of the comments that I've posted on Forever Wolf Films video. Okay, this is in response to Mendham. I can say whatever the fuck I want about that asshole. You must be unaware of how he treats others. You can suck his...
Again, this treating others thing is just so stupid. Because again, just point to the video where I mistreated somebody. Point to one video where you say, I mistreated somebody. And then I'll point to the previous video that somebody made, or the comment that somebody made, where they were gratuitously insulting. That their rhetoric was, in fact, something to react to hostilely. They were making a hostile, assertive, aggressive statement, offending and impugning my character or my intelligence. I have a right to defend myself against that kind of trollish, unproven, undocumented, unevidence-provided argument.
Dick without understanding the context behind all of the drama that's going on. Are you...
Well, it seems like you're the one who doesn't care to understand any context, fuckhead. And you are a fuckhead.
Unaware of how misrepresentative he has been lately. Don't tell me I can't threaten him when he clearly threatens us.
Well, how do I clearly threaten you? This is just grotesque. How do I clearly threaten you? Explain. I mean, explain. Show me some sort of direct threat. I mean, it's saying to somebody who's evil, I think you're evil, and if I had the chance to, you know, smite you on the honorable battlefield, I would derive great pleasure in giving you exactly what you deserve. There's nothing dishonest in that or threatening in that. I mean, that's not going to happen until we have some arena where we can have a fair fight. And honestly, expressing the fact that I have absolute contempt for your weaselly, lying, shystery, conniving, bullshit, lying behavior. I mean, I hate liars, and you're all a bunch of fucking liars. I mean, really, that's a threat. So, and again, at least I have the guts to say it out of my mouth, with my eyes looking at them. I don't write it in some fucking little weaselly comment on a video. You gutless fucks.
You evidently have more of a personal investment in sucking up to Gary, but if that's the case, then just stay out of our disagreement. What I said to Gary on Gary's channel is none of your business.
Well, can you say something? I didn't even know you were saying it to me. It seemed like a silly third person kind of, let's go troll his house. I mean, you go, is that how you personally respond to somebody? Is you go, let's go troll the fuck out of blah, 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 blah. I mean, it didn't sound like any kind of personal statement you were making to me. It sounded like a statement I was making to the crowd. That's what it sounded like. That's how it was written, okay? It was written as a statement to the crowd. It wasn't written as a statement to me. And she hears you talking to the crowd, and she says, boy, that's a dumbass thing to say. And you're all butthurt. Go figure. Anyway, enough of this shit. I'll maybe waste my time with the rest of this, but there's no real point. He's arguing with my sycophants now, like I give a shit. No, I don't. Not a counter argument. Anyway. So anyway, it is edifying to see how just, I mean, I really just didn't think people were this stupid. I mean, I thought, like, okay, if you really draw people a picture, you know, one of these connect the dot kind of pictures, that they really will be able to connect the dots. I mean, I just really didn't think people were so retarded that they're just, I'm going to go around the entire Earth from this dot. I'll go around the entire Earth and then connect that dot. And then I'll go back to, I'll fly to the moon with this dot and then go back down to this dot. I mean, there's just no fucking chance they can do this right because they keep fucking going places that are just idiotic. Bad isn't really bad. Bad's a neutral. What? Fuck you. Alright, anyway. Till next time.